After a fantastic four-year collegiate career with Valparaiso and a late second-round selection by the Phoenix Suns this past summer, Peters is finally a member of the Phoenix Suns and will wear number 25 according to his official Twitter account, in case you were wondering. But what can a former small school stretch forward bring to the Phoenix Suns, whose offense is generally predicated on individual play? For starters, shooting. In college, he was a fantastic outside shooter, draining nearly 40% from beyond the arc in 4 years, making an incredible 46.6% his sophomore year. Can the Suns use outside shooting? Youth Suns were 27th in the league in shooting last season, the second worst position in franchise history behind only the 201,213 team that finished 28th. But then, the 33.2% shooting percentage is the sixth worst for the Suns in the last 25 years. Plus, and this is obviously comparing apples to oranges, his 36.3% from three would have been tied for second on the Suns last season with Devin Booker behind only Jared Dudley's 37.9%. Third best of the returning roster Eric Bledsoe at 33.5%. PJ Tucker and Leandro Barbosa each shot better. There is also no doubt that the NBA is currently predicated around the three-point field goal and, unless Marquise Chris Bender develops inconsistent outside shot this season, no other big on the roster has any shot at making anywhere near what Peters averaged in college. Just imagine how much weight could be taken off the shoulders of Eric Bledsoe, Tyler Ulis, and Devin Booker if they had a big man or several ready around the perimeter with a defender shadowing them. The guards would have so much more space to drive, not only opening up space for the move, but then sucking in defenders' opening shots for Peters to drain without a hand in his face. His contract, which at the moment has not been announced, is also going to be quite small compared to another stretch for Jared Dudley. The 673 fan favorite, Dudley, is $10 million this coming season and just over $9.5 million in 201,819. He has been speculated as a potential trade candidate to clear cap space, and if eventually moved without bringing any major cap number in return, could open a regular position in the rotation for Peters, while also opening up cap space for future moves. Also, with the injuries to Brandon Knight and Dayton Reed, the Suns are short at least one shooter, depending on your opinion of both, and Peters could potentially fill that role even as a power forward. As silly as this might sound, if his shooting gets him into the NBA this season, there is no reason why he couldn't play a hybrid of shooting guard, though a power forward. Obviously, Devin Booker will need a spell during each game, as well as nights off and injuries. Without him on the court, the Suns will be desperate for an outside shooter who can pour it in with consistency. Derrick Jones Jr. didn't show that the three-point shot is a strong part of his game, and thus without Knight and Reed the team is short on shooting guards. If Alec Peters can at least prove himself to be a manageable defender, then he could play in a lineup with or without Booker and Josh Jackson, and depending on the matchup, find himself switching from both the back to the front court. Should Suns fans expect him to play much shooting guard? Of course not. If you watch the Draft Express breakdown of his weaknesses, it is apparent and obvious that his lateral footwork and overall explosiveness is limited. But in a bigger lineup with Tyler Ulis, Peters, Warren, Jackson, and Chris, Peters on offense could be the one player to hug the three-point line, while the other more athletic forwards dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge their way to the hoop, while he hangs outside waiting for the kickback. As a two-way player, there is no guarantee that Peters will see much playing time with the Suns. Certainly his position on the big club's roster is dependent upon his performance in the league, injuries on the Suns roster, and their level of tanking. If he can appear in at least 41 games and average around 10 minutes per game, then he will have enough time to both get his feet wet and show the Suns and their fans exactly what he can bring to the team in the future.